Hello my dear friends, how are you? I'm Mari Theriger and today I'm going to share with you another divination method to be used with the runes. I thought about showing you the 5 elements one, which is with obviously 5 runes. So I'm going to take the opportunity to first show you really quickly a well-known method with 5 runes, just to give you an extra one so you can work with, and then I shall proceed to do the other method, or to show you the other method, which I have made a few alterations on to turn it into something that can give us more concrete information instead of being too vague and often quite unclear, because sometimes people focus too much on a fancy arrangement or disposition of the runes, and labeling it a cool name that invokes a certain mystical sense, but then the content itself is quite hollow or quite shallow and no real content to it. But you will get my point as we go, certainly. So, let's get straight to the conventional method with 5 runes, which we will put into this position like a cross. Right, so we will have these 5 positions. This time I'm not going to focus on the meanings of the runes for either of the 2 methods I'll be showing here, because that sort of information has already been discussed here many times before. This time it's simply to express the conceptions for each position, which you will then combine with the information for each rune that appears to you in each position. The usual stuff. The esoteric meaning for each rune doesn't have to strictly be what I and others have shared and reflected upon, obviously. When it comes to divination methods, any methods, I think the important thing to keep in mind is the meanings we create through the practice, operation, the use of the mediums we have at our disposal, combined with observance and intuition, which will ultimately result on experience, insight. So these methods are truly just auxiliary mechanisms through which you apply your experience, the meanings you have been discovering and constructing, relying mostly on your instinct. And instinct is nothing more than just that, the combination of experience and meaning and the use of the senses. Now, this rather well-known method is quite simple, as usual, because it seems there's some lack of imagination. The first 3 runes represent respectively past, present, and future. This method is usually to try to understand a problem you have in your life and how to fix it. Obviously, don't expect to tell you exactly what to do. It's always a question of trying to retrieve pieces of information as clear as possible so you can formulate a line of thought through your instinct and proceed in doing whatever it may be that feels like the right call. Mind you that these are positions number 1, 2 and 3, and above 4 and 5, but these are not the order in which you shall reveal the runes. It's just to aid in the line-up of this method to help remember which numbers are turned in which order. I'll show you the order just now. In position number 2 will be the present situation, the problem as it is right now. So it's always prudent to turn this one over first. And according to the meaning of the rune you have been developing, it will aid you in understanding your current problem or your current state of mind. Next, turn over the rune in position number 1 to reveal the past situation that has led to the current situation. Position number 4 is to reveal what kind of help can be expected facing the problem at hand. Position number 5 is the next to be turned over, which indicates that which you have to inevitably accept in this problem, because certain aspects of it cannot be changed. You know the situations in life out of our control that will inevitably unfold a future outcome that isn't for us to decide such course of events, because they will fundamentally shape important aspects of your life and of others. An interconnectedness we experience, which is not for us to have the power to alter it, unlike several other aspects of our own lives that indeed we can alter and somewhat control. And finally, the rune in the position number 3, the future, is the final result, the final outcome by applying its meaning to the other factors here revealed. It's quite a simple method, as you can see, and it's good for a quick overview on your current situation and what best approach to take, as best as it is possible under your current situation and the power you have at this moment or at your disposal. And perhaps it is important to say that we should definitely not count on miracles. We work with what we have and not with what we could have or others have. Our reality is our own, and we do the best we can under the circumstances we live in. At least we try, right? Even if it is to minimize the more negative aspects of life as often and as well as possible. We cannot give in to despair before we have tried everything that was in our power to do. As long as we try and be active on trying to improve our lives, I think no one can judge us for not having done anything about it, especially our parents. Now, let's go to the other method I want to show you. Something I had fun making a few alterations on, if you please. Let me just put this right here. So, the other method I want to show you is the 5 elements method. I'm not sure if that's how it is generally called, but that's what I'm calling it right now, because it uses the 5 elements motif as a layout for divinatory purposes with the runes. There will be 5 runes, obviously, as you can see, that can be laid out like a pentagram. This method is usually not clearly explained. In fact, it seems to me that the idea here is simply to apply something more conventional and influential in esotericism to mark a symbol that has been greatly used to and promoted by neo-paganism, and as such, by applying it to modern esotericism, it somewhat feels like the idea is to give it some legitimacy or to give the impression of something mystical and magical. However, the idea by itself is nothing if we do not apply a meaning to it. It's basically, well, earth, fire, water, air, and spirit, but never a concrete meaning or an explanation on how to apply the meaning of the elements and combine them with the meaning of the runes to give out a more concrete divinatory explanation. So that annoys me a little bit. So I took the opportunity to give it a meaning in a way that, well, obviously suits me, as the objective is to be as clear as possible and to gather as much information as possible, so we can actually be active in trying to improve things in life. Because a layout by itself, with some ideas thrown into it or in there, is nothing at all if there isn't a meaning. And from that meaning, we try to filter out actual knowledge. So the thing here is to apply the 5 elements, 1 for each rune, and never mind positions here, don't worry. Establish which runes will be equivalent to which element. The pentagram ends up being a pattern that facilitates attributing to each end, the end of the pentagram, the element, and from there you will proceed to see which rune belongs to each element. Therefore, you are combining the meaning of the rune and the meaning of the element, which will result in information. About what, you ask? Well, since the pentagram is often used as a symbol for humanity, to point out the structure of the human body and its moods and capacities, you are here to determine your state as a whole, the state of your body, the state of your mind, the state of your spirit, and so on and so forth. Fire for vitality, earth for stability, water for emotional state, air for the state of your mind, inspiration, and spirit, or let's call it here, encompassing all the other elements and presenting the state of your essence. Obviously, this is just a rather basic meaning. Apply here the meanings such elements have for you. After all, you are the one engaging with such elements, and as such, you retrieve meaning from such an experience you are having. You are using a method of self-discovery, so the meanings you create through your own experience will better determine a meaning relatable to your own person. I see this method as merely a way to understand the current state of one's self in order to claim ownership of our body, mind, and spirit, and make a stand so we can better express our true selves in whatever challenges and endeavors that lie ahead. To be ourselves and better understand who we truly are so we can be firm and sincere in everything we put our mind, heart, and spirit. It is especially life-saving to take ownership of our vital force in any work of magic, because we will be giving ourselves to it, and in any relationship we create in such a path. Sorry. No, not now, little baby. I'm trying to work here. Well, as I was saying, it is especially life-saving, I think, in my own experience, of course, to take ownership of our vital force in any work of magic, because we will be giving ourselves to it. And in any relationship we create in such a path, it is important to be firm and express who we are if we truly want to create strong and respectful relationships that will aid us in our craft. So, finally, let's start with fire. Personally, in a very general way, fire to me is action, passion, the deepest and wildest desires, the fervent will to live and experience life. As such, the rune here will indicate that I need to open up the fire portal, so to speak. That which will feed the flames and keep them bright and warm. What I need to fulfill my desires, satiate my needs, to follow my passions, and for all of that I need to have some clues on the path that is to be constructed if I am to become who I want to be, who I desire to be and to become. So basically, this serves to draw down wisdom, knowledge, and information about our own person, what concerns us and us alone. And next, we move to the earth position, same as before, combining the meaning such element has for you with the meaning of the rune. To me, earth is related to the tangible world, the material matter itself, the practical concerns of life and the senses, that which gives substance to life and to its natural cycles and rhythms. The things by which we live, how nature influences us, the cycles of the seasons, the senses and perceptive reality of the moments passing, the phases of the moon, and so on and so forth. Everything is moving and taking action, everything lives, and we are subject to real change. We are influenced by our surroundings, and we influence them in turn. We are part of a living and breathing ecosystem. As such, all the events and actions in it will shape us in specific ways, including anomalies in life and the flow of luck, every power and energy that shapes and alters outcomes that affect us. So here we are seeking to gain clarity about something that is not yet manifest, trying to understand how things are taking shape and the impact that will have on our person. There's certainly a lot of doubts when it comes to what is happening external to us, and so we seek to comprehend our surroundings in order to better shape the path to ignite the flame. Now, we follow to the air position. The element of air to me is associated with the state of mind, the mood, the thought logic, rationality, the power to communicate and to establish communication, to be as clear as possible in the messages and desires and dreams that I want to express, but also to better understand what is being communicated to me. The analytical thinking, systematic knowledge, the theoretical constructions to calculate and interpret cycles and relationships, creating an analysis of character of ourselves, others, whichever person we are establishing a relationship with or trying to, but also to analyze and predict a situation. The likely futures based on predictable cycles, patterns, and correlation. We are seeking something more specific here. We seek to know or to gain insight and foretell likely futures. The path ahead is never clear, and it is less so if we do not know our own selves. Not everything is a question of fate. Not everything has to be given into the hands of fate. We must be rational and sensible, using our mind, using logical and rational patterns, calculation, to properly prepare ourselves in a manner that is more tangible, like building the foundations of our own being to better construct our character and other fundamental aspects that makes us whole. If we are to plant our roots firmly in the earth, we must withstand the wind and sway with it to find balance, finding ways to flow through life without being blown away. And then we move to water, the element of the subconscious, the emotional state, the ever-flowing depths of our own being, the dreams that penetrate our mind, and we so often yield to the power of imagination, which gives us inspiration. The things in life that are more abstract, no concrete meaning, hard to see the patterns, the beautiful chaos that shapes and reshapes all things without a clear purpose, but simply to be and to become and to change and transform. These are the senses, inexplicable feelings that we cannot deny their existence because they are very much happening. It is occurring. We feel them. Quite literally, we feel them. There's a certain vibration, hard to determine its origins, but our sensibility cannot be denied. We are seeking sensory clues, information that comes in through the senses. We are not dealing with mental constructs, but rather with the feeling of things. We are delving deeper. We are not dealing with something firm or rooted, neither with clear wishes and desires, nor the moving cycles of the world, but with something beyond rational. We are letting go and dive into the uncharted realms of our subconscious. This is the true heart of divination. This is where we develop this art, the use of senses, which are very useful for divinatory skills. Feeling the emotional undercurrent in situations, places, people, but also to see beyond the material, to sense that which is not so easily perceptible in the realms of the other elements. Here, we try to read the vibrations of ourselves or other beings, or places, objects, and situations, and to become knowledgeable concerning powers that sustain life and its most abstract animation. We seek to be connected deeply with ourselves and everything else, to better perceive the picture or the story. Sorry about that. Now, finally, let's hope Gigi will not interrupt my important work. Finally, we look for the spirit, or let us call it healer here, the force that ties together the other elements and, well, for lack of better words, it ties together all that is, therefore it is everything that is and ever was and shall be. Here we enter in the realms beyond action, manifestations. There's no giving in to feelings and senses, no rational constructs. It is beyond thought and imagination. It is everything we are not looking for. And so it becomes, or comes to us, unbidden, unlooked for, often unwelcomed even. It just happens. It is there, and we have no control over it, because there is no choice, no pre-established method. There isn't even any pattern to be found and knowable. Sometimes we delve into other planes of awareness, if you take my meaning. Something that comes in dreams or the sense of spirit journey, premonitions, visions. It simply happens to some people, more often than others, of course. And this, of course, can be developed through practice and training, mostly through experience and with patience, but it is seldom expected. And even though there may be attempts, of course, to control these things and even to manifest them at will, more often than not, they occur precisely when we least expect. This is the reason, or one of the reasons, why we have created so many ritualistic performances in our cultures, from, ecstatic dances, trance, and other induced altered states of consciousness, to any performance and use of or consumption of things to be in touch with this reality. We do our best to have some control and to find methods that allows us to better comprehend this reality and even be actively part of it and have some influence over it. But it is both the magnificence and terrifying aspects of this unpredictable reality that makes it so mysterious and exotic, and gives us the necessary impact that will drive us on in search for ways to be ever more immersed in the mysteries of life and nature, finding the hidden secrets to unveil the magic. This is a gift that comes in different ways, of course, and not always as we want, and neither as often as we would like or as we dream of. We are here seeking for messages we receive, but they do not come from us, but they come to us. So, my dear friends, I hope this video was entertaining, and I do hope it may have given you inspiration at the very least, especially these 5 elements method and my own personalized take on it. May it be useful to you. I truly hope. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next video, and as always, thank you for today. Until we meet again, my dear friends.